Hey everybody, it's Charlie from Daily Motor, and for the last week I've been spending time with this 2022 Lexus NX 350h. We're going to take it out here on the DM test drive loop and talk about why you should consider it for the compact luxury segment. Quick overview of the car. As I said, this is a compact luxury SUV or crossover depending on how you want to term it. This one is packing the 2.5 liter hybrid powertrain. You can get everything from a base 2.5 liter naturally aspirated motor, which I do not recommend, with front wheel drive or all wheel drive. And then after that, there's a turbocharged 4-cylinder option, all wheel drive only. Then there's this one, which actually costs a little bit less than the turbocharged non-hybrid version. And then there's a top dog plug-in hybrid 450h. We'll talk a little bit on the road about why I think this is the best powertrain option for the NX, but doing a little bit more looking around on the outside here, you can see all the nice interior and exterior updates they did for 2022. The NX that we last had was in need of refreshes in 3 areas. It needed to look better, it needed to have a better powertrain, and it needed, what was the third thing? Looks, powertrain, oh, and infotainment. And this one fixes all of that. No big surprises in the back here. This being a compact crossover, you're going to have enough room for 4 adults to take a weekend trip, perhaps. A little bit of underfloor storage, I like to see that. Also, if you had kids in the mix, you could fit a stroller or some diaper bags, good amount of things back here. You also have a few grocery bag hooks, which I like to see. And then you can fold the seats down from back here, which I like. This has the power folding seat option. Let's go down. It's kind of hard to see with this cover. And they go pretty darn flat. You've got quite a bit of room back here. This is kind of a neat feature. I don't know if it's going to work when the car's on, but if you press this right-hand lock button, yeah, it's not going to work when the car's on, but if you press it, it allows you to walk away before it actually closes and locks the car, which I think is cool. Another cool feature of the new NX before we open the doors is that these door handles are not real handles. There's actually a button on the back side here, and you press it, and the door comes open. The reason Lexus wanted to do that is because then when you're in the car and you press the button to get out, if there were another vehicle coming by you, if you were parallel parked or something, and you were going to open your door and then smash it, maybe into a biker or another car, runner, something like that, it would prevent you from doing so. Back seat, you can start to see this beautiful red color on this leather interior. Nice flat surface. Let's bring this back up. Bring this one back up here as well. It doesn't take too much effort, which is good. Sometimes I spend a lot of time in these cars. We actually take them to our relative's house up in northern Michigan, and that means we get to spend a lot of miles in the car as well. And I actually put over 800 miles on this car. I sat in the front, I sat in the passenger, and I sat in the rear. So I've got a really good perspective on elements of this car that admittedly a lot of people probably wouldn't get just in a normal week-long review, only putting a few hundred miles on the car. I like the heated seats back here, no big surprise. And the seats are comfortable for an adult. I've got plenty of headroom at 5'10". I've got knee room, and the seats actually recline a little bit as well, giving you just that much more comfort back here. I like to have that. You can see the tinted panoramic sunroof, just lets a little bit more light into here. And then our Mark Levinson speakers back here as well. Quick side note, it's kind of interesting. There's no bottom speaker grill in this car. We reviewed the Mark Levinson system separately. You can check the link in the description for that, but only a top speaker in the Mark Levinson system. The base system has a speaker there. Very strange. Up into the throne, if you will. Looking nice. Pretty cool cockpit that they have for the new NX. We see our huge screen here. I like to have it up on the energy flow screen, but that's because I'm kind of a power nerd. But you can see wireless CarPlay, which is a pretty darn big deal. You can see my phone is not plugged in. You could have it on the wireless charger right here, or pretty much anywhere else, and you don't have to worry about CarPlay coming up. I think that's pretty darn nice. Standard Lexus style hybrid shifter. A few other buttons for controls. Dual action center console, so you can open it from either sides. I always really like the feel of leather in Lexuses. It's a nice premium leather feel. In fact, all the interior materials are great. No big surprise. Nice heated steering wheel. Automatic heated and cooling seats. I should say that this has the luxury package, which is about $7,000, so pretty pricey, but it gets you a lot. It gets you this larger screen with a good navigation system. Bring that up here. and a whole bunch of other goodies. I think it gets the ventilated seats as well, and for another $1,000 you get the Mark Levinson system, which I would recommend. Let's fire this thing up. Because it's a hybrid, I can kind of just take off in electric only mode here, but I bet you the motor's going to kick on soon to make some heat. It's chilly today. Another thing this car has optioned, camera mirror. I think pretty much all luxury vehicles should have that at this point. It's not everyone's cup of tea. Some people are still going to prefer to use the conventional mirror, but I have found that once you sort of acclimate your eyes to looking at the camera mirror setup, it's better overall. It really is. One thing that people don't realize it helps with is at night when you're driving, it prevents car headlights from behind you from blinding you. Even sometimes with the dimmed rearview mirrors, you still have pretty bright headlights coming into your eyes, and with the camera mirror, it sort of alleviates that issue. One of my favorite things about the Lexus NX, especially in this hybrid powertrain, is how butter smooth and well calibrated the powertrain is. Even though it's switching back and forth between the engine running, it running on battery only, various speeds, the long history of Toyota and Lexus with calibrating hybrid systems, as well as the use of a continuous variable transmission here instead of something more conventional, or even worse, a dual clutch, it just makes for such a smooth experience in just about all driving situations. There have been a lot of cars that we've driven recently that have been jerky off the line, or have been jerky when you push on the throttle hard to make it go faster. This car is really smooth if you're just driving it easy, and it's really smooth if you're getting on it aggressively. We'll see here pulling out onto a 55 mile an hour road. The car wants to tell me that there are cars coming. Thank you. Easing into the power. Even when I want to kind of get up to speed a little more aggressively like this, no problem. Right up to speed. And then cruising along, 55, no problem. If I wanted to all of a sudden get up past somebody or something like that, it really does pull quite aggressively. One of the advantages of having the hybrid, and another reason I think it's so great to have it, aside from the efficiency standpoint, is the fact that the battery and the electric motor help fill in the gaps of power down low. This is a decently powerful car. I think people will be satisfied with it, not from a performance driving standpoint, but just from a usable power and feeling like you're getting a luxury product standpoint. Just for kicks and giggles, let's throw it into sport mode. This car has paddle shifters. I don't quite understand why, but you can technically drive it fast. See, we're able to pass this car here, throw it into oversteer. No one should be driving their NX 350h hybrid like this, but you can see how well balanced it was through there. Pulling pretty darn strong up into guardrail. When you do switch into sport mode, you get an actual tachometer in the gauge cluster there, rather than the power meter that you get in the other modes. Everything turns red too, because you're driving aggressive, it's dramatic. Steering actually gets quite a bit heavier too, but it's not a satisfying connected heavy feeling. It's more of a slushy, peanut buttery feel heavy. The only thing that paddle shifters do is kind of keep the revs up. Brake test. Okay, that's about enough of that. Let's go over into Eco. Actually, I haven't really driven this car in Eco mode much through this trip. I've just left it in normal. I feel like someone who's driving a car like this and owning a car like this, they just want to drive it normal. They don't really care. They just want to get in their car and have it work. That's another thing that Toyota hybrids do so well, and another reason why I think the 350h is a better move for most people than the 450h is it's a forgettable ownership experience. The 450h, you got to remember to plug it in. You got to have the charge cable plugged into your house somewhere, whether it's a 240 or a 110, 120, I guess technically. And you got to think, oh, well, do I want to save my electricity for driving around in town later, or do I want to use it now? It's a more involved ownership experience, and that's good for some people. I would like having the plug-in hybrid, but a lot of people buying an NX, I could see them just wanting, oh, I just want to have good efficiency and not have to work on it, and not have to pay up front for it as well. And those are two very good reasons to pick the hybrid over the plug-in hybrid. Of course, we get a wide open on-ramp for a car like this that doesn't even need it, but let's see what it can do. I bet we can do 55 pretty comfortably around here. Yeah. Squeal them. A lot to talk about highway driving. I'm going to have to do it quickly here. We do have adaptive cruise control and also a lane tracing feature, which is Lexus's semi-autonomous driving mode. Let's turn that on. Overall, it does work pretty well. I was able to do a lot of highway driving, a lot of two-lane road driving. You can see it's slowing us down for this town and country from Florida. That's going very slow. And the lane tracing does work well. I'll show it to you here once we get up to this section. It's going to engage right now. Look at that. The car is steering for me. Quite a good job at it. What is a bit frustrating is when you try to change lanes. There's a lane change assist feature, which to do so you have to hold the steering wheel, and right there it finds it's doing the lane changing for me. Very cool, Kanye. But that's when you just want to change lanes by yourself like this, change over, the car beeps at you because it said, hey, we thought you wanted to change lanes, but you interrupted it. Changing lanes isn't something that I think should be difficult. It's not something. What are you gonna do, Lexus? You're just gonna keep going? Okay. This very minor going like that, looking over my shoulder and changing lanes, is not something that should have to be automated. And I haven't found a way to turn that feature off, to have the lane keeping system on, but the lane change assist off. Maybe if I dove really deep into the settings, it'd be somewhere in there. Small annoyance. Something I didn't particularly care for driving it. But overall, the adaptive cruise control works pretty well, and the lane tracing works quite well also. Getting back to the cost element, I think that's where, surprisingly, the NX really does shine. When you get this 350h powertrain, it's $500 cheaper than the same powertrain without the hybrid, so just the turbocharged motor. I think that's really cool. It's cool for Lexus not to be charging extra for the hybrid. That means you could get easily over 30 miles per gallon for less money than the conventional gas powertrain. I've been averaging over 30 for the last 800 miles. That's highway driving, a little bit of city driving. Would definitely do better than that if you're doing more city. We've been doing primarily highway. So starting off about $43,000 after destination to get the hybrid, you throw on even the top luxury packages, the Mark Levinson sound system, you can get a pretty well kitted out NX like this one for about $53,000. That's so much of a better deal than that $65,000 Genesis GV70 we had last week. And yeah, that one technically made more horsepower, but when you're driving a compact luxury crossover, you're not concerned about horsepower. You really shouldn't be. What you should want is a smooth, efficient powertrain, and that's what this car gets you. Not premium fuel, great fuel economy. That Genesis, even with the 2.5 liter, does not get great fuel economy, and it's really not giving you a bunch of features that you can't get in here. I mean, what, maybe you can get ventilated seats in the rear and a 3D gauge cluster? Not really worth a whole bunch of extra money in my book. Now, I think the Genesis drives well. I think it looks good. I think it's very luxurious, but it's not really the bargain that everyone claims Genesis is to be, whereas I actually think the NX is a quite good bargain. I don't think it's the best vehicle in this class for everyone. I think if you want more of an engaged driving experience, you might want to look toward BMW or Acura. I also don't think it's the best looking car in the class. I do think the Genesis looks better. What else? I think that Acura RDX looks pretty darn good as well, which we're getting an X3 and an Acura RDX today, actually. So we'll be able to review those in the next week. So if you do want to see those, stay tuned on the channel. But I think the NX provides a really good experience from the ownership perspective. I think being treated nicely at Lexus dealers would be very nice. I think you're going to enjoy the fuel economy aspect. Lexuses are typically very, very reliable, so I think everything's going to be very straightforward from that position. So definitely scores well from an ownership perspective. From a driving enjoyment perspective, it's strong. It's not top tier, but it's strong. It's just a very forgettable, calm, smooth driving experience. And again, in this class, I think that's what you want. I've been comfortable this whole time. The seats could have a little bit more comfort in them, a little bit more squish, and maybe a thigh extension here to support your legs a little bit better. But overall, I've been comfortable. And how well does it execute its mission? I think that's where it does really well. It gives you efficiency. It gives you an easy driving experience, a lot of space, a lot of usable features, much, much better technology than Lexuses of yore. What more do you really want in this segment? And I think the only thing that keeps the NX from being what I would really call outstanding is just the fact that the compact crossover segment is so crowded, if you will. You could go down a little bit, get something like a Mazda CX-50 or CX-5. You could go up and you could get things like the Mercedes GLC. It really is pick your flavor in this class, but I think the NX is so much better than it was previously. And I think for a lot of people, this should be the one you should definitely test drive, check out, and consider purchasing, because for under $50,000, you can get an excellent powertrain and a lot of great features, and a car that's going to be so easy to own and drive for many, many years. Thank you all so much for watching. If you do want to see more on the NX 350h, check the links in the description. I've also got some first driving impressions from when I went and drove all the other NXs out on the first drive event. And we'll see you on the next one. I'm Charlie from Daily Motor, and as always, drive on.